several ways to take this board out as far as keeping track of where the wires go. On the 17-inch PREDICTA that I recently restored, I used these labels. Put them on each wire as I took a wire off and marked where that wire went. Works great on that set because the circuit board has markings on it that tells you what each wire does. Like audio B+, B+ source, etc. Well, this board does not have any markings like that. So the labels really won't do me any good on this board. Unless I tried to label the board too, and then they're going to come off. They're not going to stick well, and that's just not going to work out. So I think what I'm going to do, after taking several pictures, detailed pictures in case I do have a question when I go to put this board back, but I think what I'm going to do is what I've done right here. See these two wires here? I've left part of the wire with the color on it, the insulation, on the terminal. And then when I get ready to put the board in, I'll just strip this wire back, reattach it like that. All the wires are long enough to do that, so I think that's going to be my plan. There's another example. I've cut this one. See, it goes right here. And I'll leave the wires in the positions they are coming out of the board. You can kind of tell that way because they'll go back in the same positions, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it like that, each wire, and then get these grounds loose and pull this board out. All right, board's out. I think that's going to work fine the way I did that because I have photos to go by, but you can see the color is still left on the terminal there. And don't think it'll be any problem to put them back, right? Underside looks pretty good. You can see where they put those tube sockets in there and right there. Not the best looking job I've ever seen, but nothing charred or burnt. Board looks pretty good. So that's a good thing. Alright, I'm going to get to work on this board. I won't bore you with the details of that. If something out of the ordinary comes up, I'll let you know, but I'll make a determination on them tube sockets. These are the originals, looks like. They have the thin metal in them between the outside and the inside pin. But they look okay, but I'll look them over real good. I have plenty of new sockets. I may change them while I'm into it. How I change them, just break all of the material away from the pins. Not too hard to do. You can get all those pieces out of there. And then you can just solder each pin, pull it out. It works really neat. About the safest way of doing it too. That way you're not stressing the board any more than you have to. Well, there's one out. After I got the pins out, I did go back with solder wick and clean the board. So ready for a new socket on that. There's all the parts I replaced. See the K-networks, lots of resistors. I didn't even check the resistors. Probably a lot of them, maybe most of them are still okay. But all right, as I start to work on the bottom of this chassis, noticed a couple of things that I didn't really notice the other day. There's a cap. Oh, that's the two rectifiers are there. There's a cap attached to those, and in tracing it down, it goes to the filter choke right here. So it is C2A. And if you look at, this is C2. If you look at the A section, it has been unhooked. So that's what that cap right there takes the place of C2A. And then I noticed this cap here. It's a 100 mic, 350 volt. So if you look here on C2B on the other side of this filter choke, that's where this connects. This red wire on it, that red wire right there, runs all the way to here, over to here, and then back to the filter choke. So that's the B section that's been unhooked. Again, it's unhooked on the cap, nothing there. So 2 sections of this cap have already been replaced, and these are Nichicon caps, so them are good caps. I'll check them, but they look new, so I would say they're fine. So that's 2 less sections of the cap here that I'll have to replace. So probably what I'll do is just do away with this cap completely. Just substitute those other 2 sections with smaller caps like they've done here. And then that'll get rid of it. And all I'll have to change then is this is a 3-section cap right here. There's 3 sections for it. And then this one here that I mentioned earlier has a black tape wrapped around it. That's the voltage doubler, and that's C1, which attaches to the AC line right here. So do away with this, replace the 2 sections that haven't been replaced, and don't know, I may restuff this one, I'm not sure on it, or I may mount a terminal strip, take care of all 3 sections. And one more thing I noticed, there's another K network right here. It's upside down, but that came with the kit that I purchased from the TV Restore guy. There's his name. What a time saver he's created by making these networks. Here's the ones on the circuit board. I've already installed those. But he has the numbers painted on them just like the originals. Some good stuff. But anyway, there's one extra that I haven't used here. And that's this brown one right here. This one here. And it goes right here. This one goes in the CRT circuit. Right here goes to it's K7. Goes to the picture tube mounting band, and then runs down here. So that's on the CRT. Before I start changing parts on the lower part of the chassis, the first thing I'm going to do is clean it real good. You can see a lot of dust, especially on those filament leads going to the underneath the high voltage cage. And I've already cleaned from at the very bottom here. And here's what I'm using to clean with. I use just a shop vac, and got an attachment, just a little brush on the end, and that really works well. It'll get down in the crevices, and in areas where that won't reach, I use toothbrush. Just sweep it out and vacuum it up. So I'm going to do that first, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished with that. And after about 10 minutes of cleaning, first vacuuming, then cleaning the wires off with some acetone, looks a lot better. Clean this cup off where the high voltage rectifier plugs in, clean the wires. Update on the lower chassis. Pretty much completed except for two things. This multi-section resistor, I'm going to just put individual resistors in those sections, and this cap right here, this goes from AC line to ground. It's at 0.1, I think, a safety cap. Got to replace it and have those on order too, so be a couple of days on that. Eliminated all the old can electrolytics. Mount a terminal strip here on the voltage doubler, just mounted it right there. Another terminal strip here with the 3-section can that was mounted in this hole right here. And then another terminal strip right here with the other 2 sections of that 4-section that was right here. And the 2 DC rectifiers, this was the original, and it was working okay. Really nothing wrong with it, but might as well put modern replacements in, and that's what I've done here. Mounted another terminal strip right here, and then just put the 2 rectifiers. There's a filter cap. There's all the parts I put in. You'd probably say, well, you know, the set worked, why did you change all of those resistors? And just reliability. Even though the set was working, it did have some vertical and horizontal problems, which, you know, that'll take care of that. But a lot of those resistors are probably okay, but they're old carbon type, and I know these caps are, I haven't even checked them, but I know that they'll drift and their tolerance is way off on them. So here's a look at the chassis after I have it completed, ready to hook back up, and we'll see how it works. Last thing I did today was these power resistors. I didn't have a 17 ohm, so I had to put 2 together on the first section here, then the other 2 are the correct values. But that'll work. They're stiff. They should stay where they're at. They won't move. And then the last thing I did was this safety cap right here. Goes from the AC line over the ground. So I'm going to hook a tube up, picture tube up, and we'll see how she works. Speaker hooked up. First I'm going to pull out the fuse resistor. We're just going to see if we have filaments. And if we have filaments, then I'll put the fuse resistor in and we'll see what happens. Alright, here we go. And we got a dial light. It's a good sign. And I see tubes lighting up, so we have filaments. So there's one hurdle out of the way. So I'll put the fuse resistor in now and we'll see if we have a picture. Yep, okay. Turn the sound down. It's very encouraging. Sure we're not on channel. Hey.
People to have excuses to vote absentee. Second, no excuses being needed, and all allowed to cast an absentee ballot or somewhere in the middle. Kentucky State Senate Minority Floor Leader Morgan McGarvey says every option to vote should be made to every Kentuckian, including in-person, absentee, and early voting. Adding clerk's offices should be prepared for that and receive additional funds to help do it.
Channel 6 off my undertone RF modulator. A little buzz in the sound there, so I'll probably have to do a little bit of alignment on that. Always kind of a nervous time when you first turn a set on, especially after all I've done to this set. A lot of parts replaced, but it seems to be okay. I'm sure there's some height and linearity and horizontal adjustments that need to be made, but we'll do that once we get it back in the cabinet. now that we have the chassis repaired, work on this cabinet, make it look better. It's not really that bad, only at the lower section there. So stay tuned for it, and see you next time. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.